So I'm going to go ahead and start that recording now. Okay. So as I mentioned, we're joined today by Durham University. So I'm going to hand over to Alice Myers, who will introduce Durham and the rest of the people joining today and kind of outline how the session will work. So Alice, I'll hand over to you.
All right, yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Elise Myers. I'm an international officer with Durham University, and I'm actually based in the United States. I'm based in Austin, Texas. So I was asked to kind of host this Marshall Monday today, so I'm very excited to be speaking with you all. I'm going to start the session by giving probably a short 10-minute presentation about Durham. I'm going to share my screen in a second. Then we're going to hear from a professor and a former student in the School of Modern Languages and Cultures at Durham. And then finally, we're going to hear from one of our current postgraduate students in the Department of Literary Studies. So without further ado, I will get started and I will share my screen here. This in present mode. All right. So this is kind of the more picturesque postcard scene of Durham, I would say here. This is Durham City. This is the cathedral in the background and the River Wear, which students like to go rowing and have a nice time on currently. So this is my contact information. I will be putting my email and phone number and a few other links in the chat right after I'm done with this presentation here, so you all can have that contact and kind of information here. All right. So a little bit about Durham University. We've been established since 1832. We are the third oldest university in England, apart from Oxford and Cambridge, even though it came about 600 years later. We have 2 UNESCO World Heritage Sites in Durham City. So right behind you in the photo I showed you before, this is the Durham Cathedral. It was built in 1073. So it's a very historic city and also university in itself. And then we also have the Durham Castle, which is owned by the university and is also a student residence. We have 17 colleges at Durham, so we're a collegiate university similar to Oxford and Cambridge. What's a little bit different about Durham is that students will not have all of their studies within their college. It's kind of separated, but students can live in their colleges. They can have either their meals catered or cook for themselves. They can also do some sports, clubs, societies through their college. So it's kind of a big social aspect of the university, and even so for our postgraduate students. Currently, we've got about 20,000 students at the university. I think about 16,000 undergraduate and about 4,000 postgraduate students, and about 400 from the USA and Canada. And we're a very international university. We have about 120 nationalities represented throughout our faculty, staff, and students. So you can find someone from pretty much all over the world at Durham. And we've invested a lot in the university recently, about 700 million pounds. Because it is historic, we also have those modern facilities as well. And just a little bit about our location. So we are up in the northeast of England. It's a very beautiful area, more of like the countryside. Our closest city to Durham is Newcastle. That's going to be where a lot of our students will fly into, and they could take the train down to Durham. It only takes about 10 to 12 minutes. Or to get to from the airport, you can get to there by, bus, taxi, whatever works best for you. We're about an hour and a half by train to Edinburgh in Scotland and about 3 hours by train to London. So it is a very accessible city. And like I said, it's very historic. This is one of the photos of the city of Durham, cobblestone streets, very quintessential English city. And I'd probably say about 40,000 residents probably within the city of Durham. But the greater area has many more. And there's a beautiful area of like the Northumberland, which has lots of historic castles. So it's really nice to go around and see that area of England. We are part of the Russell Group Research Institutions. So it's a group of 24 research institutions within the UK. We receive about 67% of all funding within the UK. And the research that we have is world leading. And currently, Durham ranks 92 with QS World Rankings. So we are a top 100 university in the world. And you can see a few of our other ratings down here. Some of our subjects for QS World Rankings for the top 50, and you can read down the list, but theology and religion, classics and ancient history, archaeology, geography, and so on and so forth. We also have our complete university guide rankings, and then also the Guardian University Guide. So again, we are a top university in the world, and we have many postgraduate research and taught programs for our students as well. And then for our faculties and departments, we have 4 within like the 23 departments that are available for our postgrad students. So our Durham Business School, we have arts and humanities, our sciences, and then social sciences and health programs too. And within our postgraduate, areas of study, I think there's about 136 programs that students can kind of sift through and look. And then I also have a link again that I will paste here so that you can kind of look at all the courses that are available to students for postgraduate studies. Okay, so I mentioned a little bit earlier, we are a collegiate university. We pride ourselves on that. It's a very, fun social aspect of the university and why a lot of our students will come to Durham. And so we have 17 colleges. 16 of them are for undergrad and postgrad, and we have one called Ustinov College that is for only postgraduate students. So it's really up to the student kind of what experience they're looking for. But they have formals, sometimes they're gowned, not gowned. Again, they can join clubs and societies. This photo here is going to be Castle College. I mentioned earlier that this is one of our student residences. So it's usually one of the first ones to go, but it has, I think, the most students that are a part of this college. And then on the next slide here, you can kind of get a feel for how the city's laid out and then our collegiate system. So in this map over here, if you see the little peninsula, we have the River Weir here. This is going to be the colleges on the Bailey side. So you can see the little shield, the yellow shields are going to be where our colleges are located. And this is near the Durham Cathedral and Castle, more of like the downtown area, historic area. And then further down here, we have the Hill colleges. So many more around where like the university classes will be held. But even though this might seem a little bit far away to get to each different college on the map here, the city is very walkable. I would say pretty much everything is within 20, maybe 25 minutes walking, maybe 30 max if you're going from like end to end. But it's a very easily accessible, city to get around, and even going to different colleges, to your classes from the downtown area and whatnot. And then colleges at a glance, you can see what year they were established, if they have catered services, how many postgraduate students are living in the residences, and then the full amount of students that are a part of each college. So I think this is a nice little breakdown. But again, I have a link that you all can look at the different colleges and students can see which one they want to be a part of. For postgrad students, they can rank their top 3, and we have a whole system for it when they're a part of Durham so that they can see, which college would be best for them. Okay, for sports. So we are #1 in the UK for team sports at Durham since 2013. We have our 17 team Durham collegiate participants, so our competitive sports, but a lot of our students will, play more intramurals, club sports. We have 700 just regular sports teams that our students will be involved with, and even our postgrad students. So it's really nice. This photo here is from Maiden Castle. That's our sports facility. We've put a lot of investment into this, and so it's really nice. There's a whole indoor area. We're one of the only universities in the UK with indoor rowing facility. We have a fitness center that's only 150 pounds per year for students to join, and so on and so forth. So we have a lot of sports facilities available for our students. And then here's one of our rowing competitions just along the River Weir. I love this photo just because you can see the cathedral in the background. And this is just a nice sunny day up in Durham where students are kind of enjoying the sun out on the bank here. For theater and music, we have 27 theater companies, and they put on about 90 productions every year. So we actually do not have like a theater course at Durham. These are all student run, and they do compete in many festivals throughout the year. So if students want to get involved, they definitely can. And then we're also #1 in the UK for music, but students do not have to be part of, a music course. They can join our societies and many concerts that we put on per year as well. And then we're, I guess, a very involved university. Many of our students will be involved in some type of volunteer opportunity, sport, club, about an 85% participation rate. So different just organizations students can join, some social organizations. I like to say it's impossible to be a fly on the wall at Durham. So if students really want to get involved, they definitely can and kind of find that friend group. Support, just like any other university, we have, induction weeks. So students will join their college and have like a nice little time at Durham. We have counseling services, disability support, career services if students are looking for different job opportunities, anything like that, we have that available at Durham. And then just for employer reputation, we're ranked 34th globally. And then about 88% of our graduates are in full-time employment within 15 months of graduating. So we really try hard to make sure that, students are getting that placement that they need. And then these are just some of the companies that our graduates work for. So, domestic, international companies. So we really have a lot of those connections. Since I mentioned we have about 120 nationalities on campus, we have alumni really all over the world that we can connect our postgraduate students to. And that's pretty much it for me. This is the presentation. This is the North America email inbox, or just my personal email, but I'll also paste it in the chat box so that you all can have. But that is it. And I will stop sharing my screen here and we can move on to the next portion. All right, any questions, by the way, just on the presentation? All right, cool. Well, like I mentioned, the portion of the, just going over Durham as a whole was over. So now I want to pass it on to one of our professors. This is Mr. Santiago Hernandez right here. He is a professor in the School of Modern Languages and Cultures. So I'm just going to pass it off to him and kind of just to speak about his program a little bit.
Thank you so much, Alice. I hope you can all hear me and see me. I'm sorry that I had a bit of a connection problem just a minute ago because I was on a Zoom call just before this. And as you may have experienced yourselves in the past, sometimes the computer doesn't like to change from Zoom to Teams in terms of camera settings and so on. I was actually trying to be extra professional and use my podcasting microphone and camera, and that's what kind of messed up the beginning. Sorry about that. But I'm glad I'm here, and thank you so much for the invitation. It is a pleasure for me to talk a little bit about the arts faculty in particular, and also about my experience in Durham, where I've been based for the last 23 years, even 24 years, I believe it or not. I started here in 1999, so I must like it because I've been here ever since. I've basically most of my academic career has happened in Durham. I did study my postgraduate in another regional university here in the UK. Another university in the region, Newcastle upon Tyne, which is where I live. So that's another important factor, particularly for postgrads. Some of our postgraduate students live in Newcastle. It's only a 10-minute ride to Durham, train ride. And yeah, I've been in Durham since 1999. And what I wanted to do is to share my screen and share some aspects of some sections of our website, which will give you a good idea about, particularly about our School of Modern Languages and Cultures, which is where I work and where Matthew studied, and you will hear about Matthew in a moment. So I'll just share the screen now. Right, so I should be able to share my sorry about this again. I do events like this all the time, but usually just on Zoom, so I'm not the best with I'm sharing the screen, but I don't get the Safari option, so I'm not sure why. Window, oh yeah, here, okay. Yeah, I think it's this one.
There we go.
Can you see my screen now? Great, excellent. Okay, so this is the School of Modern Languages and Cultures. I just wanted to give you an overview of our programs. I'm within the no longer department, we call it sections. So the section of Hispanic Studies, where we cover aspects of Spanish language and Spanish and Latin American cultures. You can see some of the rankings there. Hispanic Studies, where I'm based at for many years, was #1 in the UK. It's been fluctuating in the top 4 or 5 for the last 6 years or so. The School of Modern Languages and Cultures offers 8 different languages. You can see the different languages here. So if you go to undergraduate study, you will have an overview of our different sections, the different languages. So we're very much a school. For many people, that would mean a department, but it means traditionally a school meant a sort of amalgamation of various departments that belong in one subject. So it's the School of Modern Languages and Cultures, as I say, but we have those 8 language areas that we offer. And this is quite unique in the UK because most School of Modern Languages and Cultures tend to focus mostly on European languages and cultures, and we have a much more global outlook. So we include Arabic, Chinese, French, German, Hispanic studies, which of course covers not just Spain, but also the whole Spanish-speaking world, Italian, Japanese, Russian. And we also have, since quite recently, since about 5 years ago, a program on visual arts and film, which I'm particularly proud of since my area of study is film studies, Spanish cinema in particular. I wanted to show you just briefly as well, just to give you an overview of our postgraduate courses. So we have 3 taught MA programs. One is our MA in Translation Studies, which is very popular. Some years it recruits around 100 students from around the world. So that's a very big program for a UK master's taught program. We have an MA in Languages, Literatures and Cultures, which is quite unique to Durham. And again, an MA in Visual Culture. I can say a little bit more later if you have questions. I also wanted to talk a little bit about our postgraduates, our research postgraduates. We have at the moment around 40 research students from all over the world. I think actually currently we have about 65, but some of them are on what we call the write-up year. So officially, you know, in the first 3 years of a study, we have around 40. I can answer questions about funding later if anyone is interested. I was for many years the director of postgraduate education for the School of Modern Languages and Cultures, so I can talk a lot more about that. I was also director of undergraduate education until recently. So again, there's quite a lot I can say about the postgraduate community, both taught postgraduates and also research postgraduates, such as Matthew, who you will hear from in a moment. I did have, of course, all my different tabs open before I had to reset my MacBook, but I wanted to tell you a little bit about something else that I'm particularly proud of, and I'm just going to search it like this, and I think it will come up directly, sort of Durham BFI. It's our partnership with the British Film Institute, which it launched about 2 years ago. And I was the person who actually set it up and started it. So I'm, as I say, particularly proud of it personally because it is my area of study, film, but also because it is quite unique for a UK university to have a partnership with one of the world's most prestigious film institutions. So as you may know, the BFI is based in London. They have their major facilities in South Bank, where they have, of course, cinemas and a bookshop and you know, all sorts of facilities there, library. As part of this partnership, we do several things. So for example, I have currently a PhD student who is spending a whole year at the BFI as doing a partnership. He's working on film festivals, and he's lucky enough to spend a whole year working for the festival that he's in fact researching for his thesis, which I think is quite unique. As part of this, we also organize a lot of events, what we call research impact and engagement events. So Durham staff go to South Bank and give talks now and then. The same happens with BFI colleagues who will come to Durham to do some teaching sometimes, or to give some lectures. We have public lectures twice a year. We also have access to the BFI player, which is a sort of Netflix, but with classic, particularly British and European films. And in a way, that's what I wanted to say about the BFI partnership. Going back to the School of Modern Languages and Cultures, I think a lot of this may come in your questions. I just wanted to draw your attention in case you want to follow this up afterwards. If you just go to durham.ac.uk/mlac, then you will get access to all our programs. And I think maybe I will leave the rest for the questions. I do want to say that the person that you're about to hear, he may be too shy to say this, but Matt Hilburn is somebody who's been with us. He actually graduated from his PhD last year, but he did his master's by research with us at Durham University, and he stayed for a PhD, and he's just received an award for the I don't know what to say, the best, that, you know, but certainly the most recognized thesis in Hispanic studies in the UK, which includes a publication prize. So his PhD will be published as a book in the next few months. So I think I will leave it with Matt for now to give his point of view as a student, a former postgraduate student, and then I'll be very happy to answer any questions. In fact, I can answer any questions now, or I can come back at the end if any of you have any questions. And now I need to stop sharing, which hopefully I'll be able to work out. Because as I say, I'm much more familiar with Zoom than I am with this. Stop sharing. Okay, that will be that. Okay, so I hope that was okay. As I say, any questions, don't hesitate to ask later on. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Santi. And then, yes, I'll pass it off to Santi's former student, Matthew, just to kind of talk about his time at Durham and his accomplishments. So yeah, Matthew, take it away.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for that introduction. Yeah, my name is Matthew Hilborn, and thanks, Santi, for those lovely words. It's great to see you again, and I'm delighted to be here. So just to kick things off then, so my timeline, like I did my undergrad at a different university. I was at Oxford University for my undergrad, and then having finished that, I did an undergrad in English literature and Spanish as a joint honours degree. And then I took a year out because I was a bit like tired at that point, and I wasn't entirely sure what I wanted to do with my future. Worked as a Spanish translator, freelance translator in Spain, taught Spanish as well there, and also in Switzerland for a little bit. And then, do you know what I found that I really missed the university life? I missed the collegiate spirit, but I wanted a bit of a change. So Durham really appealed to me for that reason. And when I visited, I found it a very welcoming place. I mean, it's beautiful. You saw those screenshots earlier from the presentation from Alice. I mean, it's a stunning place to live and study. And I chose a college on the Bailey, which is the main kind of street that runs through Durham. And yeah, and then I applied for a faculty scholarship, which waived my tuition fees. I was awarded that. So I went and did a master's by research, and then I liked it so much that I joined forces with Santi and another secondary supervisor, Mike Thompson, and went on to do my doctorate, which I completed in early 2022. So yeah, I'll just run through very briefly some of the main benefits and advantages of somewhere like Durham, and then I'll look at like some of the lessons that I learned there and how it set me up very, very well for a career, hopefully in academia for many, many years to come. And I'll finish off with some photos and some kind of highlights from my trip by showing my screen. So as I said, like one of the things that appealed to me most about Durham was its research excellence. I did a lot of I did my homework before applying and knew that some of the most prestigious scholars and researchers were based there, and that was a really big factor for me when choosing where to go. And obviously, as you can see, the fact that like Santiago and I have forged this relationship and it still continues to this day and beyond. You know, he's invited me to take part here, and you know, at postgraduate level, I think it's really important that you pick somewhere with people, with researchers and teachers and tutors who can really support you and encourage you the whole way through. And it doesn't just end in Durham. You know, these are lifelong contacts, and I'm sure I've got as much a friend as I have a kind of professional guide. So yeah, and then in terms of the co-curricular side of things, what I loved about Durham was that it was 10 minutes walk in any direction from the centre, and you're basically in countryside, which as a London-based man myself, I was born and raised in the capital, that is something unheard of for me. And I joined the Hill Walking Society. We mentioned the range of clubs and societies, and I was always on my weekends going out for walks and keeping myself fit and healthy as well, and getting some fresh air. So that was a big plus. I lived in college in my second year, so my first year my PhD, my second year in Durham, and then I worked in college the year after as a pastoral tutor and resident tutor, which meant that I lived on the Bailey, and I had a range of undergraduates that I kind of supported, and there were some admin tasks and just generally pastorally making sure that they were well and healthy and prepared for life in Durham. I also sang in the university chamber choir, so that those lovely shots of the cathedral, I was in that. Singing in there for a while. I'll show you a picture of that in a minute. And I also captained the sports society, or the sport Team Durham team of pool and snooker, and we became national champions in 2019. So I did a lot of sport and music and also research. And I think it was really important to me that Durham was a place that facilitated all of those things at once. And I never felt like I was short of opportunities to branch out and make sure that I was fully satisfied in every possible way. Awesome, cool. So some of the research things that I did when I was at Durham, I applied for what's called the AHRC Northern Bridge Scholarship, which Santiago helped me to craft my application, and I was awarded that. So that gave me full funding throughout my PhD. And through that, I went to Valladolid in Spain for a range of summer workshops and conferences at the University of Valladolid, which was an incredible opportunity that really kind of furthered my research and set me up really well for what I'm doing now. I was involved with a retreat to New Writing North, which is a place based in Northumberland, where I've spent like 3 weeks writing my PhD in luscious surroundings, leafy green location, where I really just kind of nailed down and did my PhD. Again, this was all paid for by the university. I translated articles for I translated an article for Professor Techo Aguado, who's based at Dartmouth University. I translated subtitles for many, many lectures that were delivered by Spaniards in Durham, a whole range of things. And then I also did 2 research placements at the London Spanish Film Festival down in the capital, and for British Comedy Guide, a reference website that's based on comedy, because my PhD was more specifically about Spanish film comedy in the last 50 years. So that really kind of related to what I did there. Yes. So, and then in terms of the teaching, I was involved in lots of teaching in Durham as well. I taught on 4 different modules here and there, covering whenever someone was on maternity leave or unwell, I would like slip in sometimes. And I was given a lot of opportunities to really kind of develop my skill set, and that's something I've continued now in my job beyond. And then obviously I said that I finished in February 2022. Since then, I've been working as postdoctoral research associate at King's College London. I'm based in their culture and media department, and I'm working on a project that analyzes British TV and film. So very much related to my research background. And as Santi mentioned, my PhD is going to be published very shortly with Legendo, an Oxford-based publisher. So I'm really, really happy with the support that Durham has given me. And yeah, it's been fantastic. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have about my ongoing research and my time there. But I just thought I'd finish, if the technology allows me, with some brief photos of. I hope that works. Can you see that? Yeah, I wrote this article for Durham's website a while back. So that's me there speaking in COVID, as you can see, sorry, with the mask on, at the London Spanish Film Festival, introducing all the films, and I was on the judging panel for that as well. And then just to go down, this is me in Valladolid a while back. I look very young in that photo. And then Vigas Luna is one of Santi's kind of main research expertise, as a Spanish filmmaker, and I wrote about him. And then just to show you, so in 2021, I was invited to speak at Play Ibéricos, which is a distinguished platform where scholars of Hispanic studies speak about their research and disseminate it for a wider audience. And then just a few highlights here. I'll zoom in so you can see. So there's me singing in the chamber choir at Durham in these incredible surroundings. There's me. I was the academic affairs officer for my college MCR, which is the kind of common room for postgraduate students. And there's us on the right there, winning the national championships in pool and snooker. I know American pool is slightly different to British pool, but you know, there's lots of opportunities to play both types at Durham. So yeah, I'm going to be quiet now and let someone else speak. But I hope that gives you a brief overview of the incredible range of activities and tasks that you can get involved in at a place like Durham. I look back on it with great fondness. And as I say, I've got lots of friendships and contacts that continue to this day and beyond. So I have no bad words to say about it whatsoever.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Matthew, for just telling us about your experiences and overview and all of your accomplishments. I think it's wonderful. And yeah, if anyone has questions for Santi or Matthew, just please put them in the chat box. But now I kind of want to take a little different turn and talk about, you know, one of our current postgraduate students, who is Chloe here. She's joining me from the Department of Literary Studies. And so I just kind of want to ask her a couple of questions and talk about her, you know, experience as a current student. So Chloe, if you just would start off, you know, telling us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and why you chose Durham.
Yes, so hello everyone. My name is Chloe. I am from California. I did my undergraduate degree in French language and literature at Seattle University in Washington, and then I took a couple years off during COVID and just worked, and then I came over to Durham to do my master's in English literary studies that I am completing right now.
Okay, very nice. And then what made you choose Durham? Like, what about it like kind of drew you to it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say that the thing that first made me research Durham is Durham has a really excellent reputation academically in general, but specifically the English literature department is excellent. In your presentation, it noted that it's like 4th in the UK and top 50 in the world for English. So it was always on my radar because of that. And specifically, I study contemporary women's literature, and Durham has a lot of professors who specialize in that field as well. So like Matthew said, it's important for postgrad to look at what the professors study and make sure that there's areas that align with yours. And then also just the size of the town and the beauty of the town really attracted me. I'm from Davis, California, which is kind of a similar town to Durham. It has a large university, but it's a small town overall. So I felt that Durham was a place that I could feel at home.
Yay, I'm so happy about that. And then just can you tell us a little bit about your program and what you're studying, your relationship with your professors, anything like that?
Yeah, so like I said, I study English literary studies, and I specialize in contemporary literature. So that's what all of the classes I've taken so far have been in. The program here is definitely focused heavily on independent work and independent reading. As postgrads, we only do about 3 to 5 contact hours per week with professors. So and then there's about 25 hours of reading on top of that. So it's a lot of independent work. That being said, the professors are really communicative and really easy to contact, and they do office hours. And I've also been able to set up meetings with them outside of office hour time. So you're still getting a lot of sort of one-on-one FaceTime with the professors as well, which is really great. I think especially with postgrad students, they're really open to, they want to discuss what you're studying with you. So they're really open to meeting outside of class and doing that. All of my classes have been seminars, so they're all discussion based, which I think is really great because you get to hear everyone's perspectives, including the professors and the other students. And I think it also creates a really good atmosphere. I feel like I've gotten to know my fellow students a lot better because of the seminar style. So that's a really great thing as well.
Perfect. Yeah, I love to hear that style of teaching. And then can you tell us about what college you're a part of at Durham and if you're involved in any clubs, sports societies within that college?
Mm-hmm. So I'm a part of Van Mildert College, which is one of the hill colleges, which means we are up on a hill kind of above the main city center. But it's about an 8-minute walk to the library and some of the teaching buildings, and then about a 15 to 20-minute walk to town. So it's really very doable. And we've been very lucky with weather in my time here. So the rain hasn't been too big of an issue. I think the colleges are something that makes Durham pretty unique as a university, and it's a huge part of your social life. And I think it really creates a community within the larger university. I'm very involved in my middle common room, which is the postgraduate common room at the college. We have events usually 1 to 2 times per week, which is really fun. And then I've also gotten involved in college at some poetry workshops that we did with the Creative Writing Society. So that's been a great thing as well. There's definitely societies both within college and at the whole university for every different interest. So I found a lot related to creative writing, which has been really fun.
Okay, I love that. And then just kind of wrapping it up here with my last couple of questions. How has your experience been as a person from the United States attending Durham? And then what's your favorite thing about the university so far?
So I think as an American, I felt it was a pretty easy transition. I don't think I experienced a huge amount of like culture shock or anything like that. There are obviously some differences, but I've been able, most of my friends here are British, and I've been able to, I feel like, fit in pretty well. I don't feel like there's any sort of like separation because I'm not British, which is really good.
Yeah.
And it's definitely, I feel like I'm experiencing like the cultural experience that I came here for, because I am able to integrate with like students um, from the UK. And then my favorite thing about Durham, um, it's difficult because I do really love it here, but I think probably the atmosphere of the city. It's a very student dominated city, and I think that kind of makes it feel like everywhere you go, you run into people you know. Whenever you go out to restaurants and stuff like that, you're running into people you know from class and from societies. And there's just, it feels like the whole city is an extension of the university. And I think that creates a really great atmosphere. And there's a lot of like university spirit. And you really feel like people want to be at Durham, and that people chose Durham because it's where they want to be.
Right. Okay, well, awesome. Thank you, Chloe. That's all my questions here. And I think we're almost at wrapping up time. And I do want to hear or have some time for some questions if the audience has them, or just maybe some comments from anyone. So yeah, thank you so much. Any questions,
Thanks,
anyone?
everyone. Thanks, Elise and
Mhm.
Chloe, Matthew, and Santi. I really enjoyed hearing about Durham, and it sounds like um, Matthew, you and Chloe have been up to some really interesting things, and that you're very much supported in Durham in your academic endeavors, as well as like really enjoying living there. So it's really good to hear. I guess we can open it up. I don't know if anyone has any questions that they would like to come off mute and ask, or pop in the chat. Otherwise, if you have on our SVP page said that you're happy to be contacted after the session, we can give your information to Elise, who can contact you afterwards with any follow-up questions. Okay, I think we can take that silence to mean there are no questions, and that's probably due to everyone's very comprehensive answers and overview of what it's like to live and study in Durham. So thanks everyone for participating and for coming along. Like I said, we really enjoyed hearing um, more about Durham, and I'm sure that if there are any follow-up questions, that Elise or anyone that's been a part of the session today will be happy to follow up. Did you have anything else to say, Elise, or anyone else, any of the other participants?
I just want to thank you all for having us here today. I know I was really excited about it, and yeah, if you have any questions, anyone else, I'll be happy to be in touch. So thank you so much.
Yes, likewise, just to say thank you for the opportunity to talk about Durham. And obviously, I did leave a lot in, that I would have normally said, but is more focused on my research. So, I mean, I'm happy to talk about it a bit more, but I thought I would focus more on the experience at Durham and an overview of the department. One thing that I think is important that I'm just remembering now that I should have mentioned is that as part of the research, most academics in Durham engaged with the public in events, cultural events, for example. So I was going to talk a little bit just to mention the events that I do around the world to promote the work of the filmmaker that Matthew mentioned, Bigas Luna. So just to say briefly, for the last 9 years, I've been to 22 cities, thanks to the support of Durham University, in fact, to promote the work of this filmmaker who passed away 10 years ago, in collaboration with national cinematheques. For example, only a month ago, less than a month ago, I was in Los Angeles working with the American Cinematheque. And we did 9 screenings there, which were hugely popular. So that's something else that I wanted to cover in my presentation that I didn't have time to do. But we engage also with theaters. I know Alice talked a bit about the student experience with theaters, but we also, as a staff with research interests, we're also bringing our research to theaters, art galleries, cinemas in my case, and so on. So that's the one thing I thought maybe will come up in the questions, sort of engaging with the wider audience. But I just really did want to mention this. You know, we do things like podcasts related to that as well. So another events such as the one Matthew mentioned about launching new publications, for example, in Iberian Studies, which is the event that Matthew mentioned, Fleibericus. But anyway, I'm glad that the presentations were useful.
That's great. Thanks, Auntie. And if no one else has anything to add, I think that's the end of our session today. So thanks again, everyone, for participating.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.